Have you ever imagined waking up to an ordinary day, only to discover it would be the last of your life? I never thought that dawn would lead me on a journey beyond death, a vision that would shake everything I believed about the church and the world. My name is Father João, and what I'm about to share with you is not just a story. It's a warning, an urgent call coming straight from the heart of Christ. I lived my life as a servant of God, dedicated to the Catholic Church, the sacraments and prayer. For decades, I knelt beside my bed every morning, offering my day to the Lord, seeking strength to guide my congregation through times of growing confusion. The world was changing too fast. Divisions, conflicts, even within the church, where tensions between tradition and modernity seemed to tear at the fabric of faith. I prayed for Pope Francis, asking that he have wisdom to lead amid this chaos, but I never imagined God would show me what was to come in such a direct, overwhelming way. If you feel something is wrong in the world, if you've ever wondered where the church is heading, I invite you to hear what I have to say. Subscribe now so you don't miss any part of this message, a message that could change how you see your faith and your role in it. On that fateful morning, I woke up as usual in the silence before dawn. I knelt to pray, but there was a weight in my chest, an unease I couldn't explain. The state of the church had troubled me for months, the scandals, the divisions, the voices clamoring for change while others clung to the past. I felt something was approaching, but I had no idea what it was. After praying, I prepared for Mass, dressing in the sacred vestments I'd worn for so many years. I walked to the sanctuary, the cold marble floor beneath my feet, and began the service as I did every day. The congregation was there, the prayers rose, the Eucharist was shared. For a moment, everything seemed at peace, untouched by the turmoil of the world outside. But then, as I stepped away from the altar, a sharp pain pierced my chest. It was like a fist closing around my heart. I tried to steady myself on the pew, but the pain only grew, spreading down my left arm. My breath grew shallow, the sanctuary began to spin, and my vision blurred. I felt my legs give way, and before I could grasp what was happening, my knees hit the floor. Someone shouted my name, but the voice sounded distant, as if I were already drifting away. The last thing I saw was the crucifix above the altar, Christ's eyes gazing at me with a mix of sorrow and love. Then everything went dark. I don't know how long I remained in the darkness, but suddenly I became aware again. I was no longer in my body. I knew it instinctively. It was a strange sensation, like floating, free from the weight of flesh and bone. I looked down and saw my body lying on the church floor, motionless. People were running around me, some crying, others praying. Soon, paramedics arrived, their hands moving quickly over me, a defibrillator being prepared. One of them pressed my neck, searching for a pulse, and shook his head. I should have been in a panic, but I wasn't. An indescribable peace enveloped me, unlike anything I'd ever felt on earth. Then I felt a tug, gentle at first, then stronger. It was as if an invisible force lifted me, pulling me upward, away from the church, the paramedics, my body. I passed through the ceiling as if it didn't exist, rising beyond what physical laws allowed. And then I saw the light. It wasn't like sunlight or the candles in the chapel. It was alive, pulsing, full of love and truth. It called to me, and I drew closer, feeling lighter with each moment. Suddenly, I was no longer rising through earthly space. I was somewhere else, beyond time, beyond pain. The air, if I can call it that, was charged with a presence so powerful, I fell to my knees. It was God. I didn't see him directly, but I felt him everywhere, his essence permeating everything. My soul recognized him instantly. I'd spent my life seeking him, and now I was here. But even in that peace, I sensed an urgency. Before I could speak, a figure emerged from the light. I knew who it was before I even saw his face. It was Jesus. His presence was overwhelming, his light alive, moving around me like something I'd longed for my whole life. His eyes saw me, not just my body, but every thought, every prayer, every failure. There was no judgment, only a love so deep it brought me to tears. He spoke, his voice like truth itself, gentle yet powerful. "There is something you must see." With those words, the light shifted. and a vision unfolded before me. I saw the earth from an impossible perspective, as if my soul peered beyond the veil of time. Before me were churches, millions of them, scattered like stars. Some glowed with divine light, their prayers rising like incense. They were places where faith was alive, where people sought God with humility. But others were dark, their altars empty, their walls hollow. The faith there had been replaced by lifeless rituals, by compromises with the world. A deep sadness gripped me. I'd served the church my whole life, believing it was an unshakable beacon. But now I saw the truth. Jesus spoke again. My church has forgotten me. His words carried a pain that wasn't mine, but his, the pain of a God rejected by his people. I saw faces within those dark churches, souls with empty eyes, mechanical prayers, leaders preaching without conviction. Outside the churches, the world wandered lost, some abandoning faith out of disillusionment, others never knowing it. It was a spiritual crisis, subtle but devastating. I asked, my heart breaking, why? How did this happen? He answered, because they let the world define me instead of seeking me. They spoke my name but forgot my voice. The vision shifted, and I found myself in the Vatican. Pope Francis was there, alone, praying with his head bowed. His white robes seemed heavy, his frail body trembling. I felt his sorrow, his weariness. I asked Jesus, what's happening to him? He said, the weight of the church is great. Many of my shepherds struggle. Some are righteous, others are deceived. Then shadows began creeping toward the Pope, like invisible forces pressing in on him. Jesus explained, the battle is not of flesh and blood, but of powers and principalities, forces working against my church. I saw secret conversations, decisions being made by influence, not faith. Some leaders stood firm, but others bowed to fear, power, the desire to please the world. Jesus said, pray for him. Pray for my church. I understood then that the church was at a crossroads, a battle for its future still undecided. I asked, what must I do? He replied, there is more to show you. The vision changed again, and I found myself in a vast hall, surrounded by bishops, cardinals, and priests. Their vestments signaled authority, but their faces revealed discord. Some debated fervently, others sat in silence, their eyes full of doubt. I heard their voices. The church must adapt to the times, one said. We don't change the truth to please the world, another countered. We're losing relevance, a third insisted. It was a deep division, not just of opinions, but of hearts. I turned to Jesus. What's happening? He answered. The enemy sows doubt among my shepherds, distracting them from my voice. I saw leaders struggling under pressure, some yielding to fear of rejection, others softening doctrine to appease the masses. False teachings spread like smoke. God wants everyone happy, all paths lead to truth, sin is relative. It seemed loving, but it was a distortion of the gospel. Jesus said, my sheep know my voice. Not all would stray, but many were asleep, trapped in empty rituals. I saw congregations divide, some following truth, others comfort, and then the most painful sight, people abandoning the church, disillusioned by hypocrisy, seeking answers elsewhere. I asked, how do we stop this? Jesus replied, pray. Prayer is the weapon against deception, the bridge that brings the lost back to me. My people must return to me, not to religion, but to me. His words echoed within me. The church wasn't failing for lack of God, but because many stopped seeking him first. The enemy wanted to divide it from within, choking it with politics and compromise. Suddenly, the scene shifted to a vast, supernatural battlefield. The sky was shrouded in dark mist, the air heavy with tension. Radiant angels armed with fire and divine light faced shadowy demons whispering lies, fear, doubt, confusion. The church stood at the center, besieged by darkness. Some parts of it fell, consumed by false teachings and division, but then I saw something incredible, points of light emerging. They were believers praying with genuine faith, their words cutting through the darkness like flames. Each prayer strengthened the angels, pushing the shadows back. Weak churches reignited with divine fire. Jesus said, "The church will stand, but only if my people pray." I understood that this war was for every believer. The darkness wouldn't win as long as there was prayer, but we had to awaken. I asked, "What must we do?" He replied, "There is more." The final vision took me to a place beyond time. Two paths opened before me. In the first, I saw the church renewed, alive, filled with people seeking Jesus with genuine hunger. It wasn't perfect, but it shone with truth, reaching the lost, transforming lives. Leaders humbled themselves, divisions faded, and a revival spread across the world. In the second path, I saw the church weakened, empty pews, purposeless cathedrals, leaders preaching convenience, not truth. Faith dissipated, and darkness advanced over a world abandoned by a powerless church. I looked at Jesus. "Which path will we take?" He said, "That is for my people to decide. Do not put your faith in men, but in me. My word never changes." It was a choice, not a fixed fate. The church could renew itself if we returned to Christ, or weaken if we relied on leaders and traditions. My mission was clear: to warn, to pray, to call people back to Him. Then, I felt a tug pulling me away. I cried out, "Let me stay." But Jesus said, "It's not your time yet, you must speak the truth." I fell into the darkness until a jolt brought me back. I woke up in the hospital, doctors stunned around me. "We lost you," one said. My throat burned, but I forced the words out. I need to tell them. I knew my life would never be the same. Days later, I began to speak. I told the priests, the congregation, anyone who would listen. Some believed, others mocked, but I pressed on. I saw Pope Francis in my vision carrying an immense burden. He needed prayer, as did the whole church. The battle I saw isn't over. It's happening now, and the outcome depends on us. The church stands at a crossroads. Will we choose renewal or ruin? If this message has touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and join me in spreading this warning. Pray for the church, for the Pope, for the lost. The time is now. Seek the truth, remain in Christ, and together we can change the future. May God guide us. Don't wait until it's too late. The church needs you, your prayer, your faith, your return to Christ. What I saw was a warning, but also a hope. Renewal is possible if we act now. Share this message, subscribe for more, and stay vigilant. The times ahead will test our faith, but those who stand in Jesus will not be shaken. May God bless you and give us strength to choose the path of light.